maybe the record went live after I printed my agenda this morning, but there was no attachment in the agenda when I looked at it this morning. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but.
that's
yeah,
all right. That's why I was like, and I knew Kim was out, so then I was like, are we covering it? Do we have it? So it's not.
You know, the
not
thing
big
is, it
deal.
was on all along, so I'm not sure why it didn't show up, Shelley. Because I looked at it,
Cause it's technology and it's summer, so.
that happens to me, not you, so guaranteed. I was actually kind of surprised that it did not, that when we were doing the graduation, that the mic didn't fail me.
Well, the mic failed the year before.
Did it really?
And it took 10 to 15 minutes to come online. And what the senior class did was they said, come on, we can do this. And so they knew who the next student was that was up, and they did 3, 2, 1, they counted down, and the entire class said the student's name, and they walked across the stage. And everybody in the crowd started clapping, because now we didn't have to try to wait to fix this microphone.
Wow.
And they finished the last 30 or so students by doing that, and it was pretty awesome. And then it came back in time to be able to play fireworks for the fireworks to go off.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
But I forgot about that delay, because I was wondering, because our fireworks were darker last year,
Okay.
and I was like, were we running really far ahead? What was the timing? Because it was still pretty, it was beautiful light, but it was still pretty light to see the
Oh, I'm
fireworks.
just rambling and rambling
And
with
then-
Amy. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
And then
that's
push came to
amazing.
shove, I'm like, I forgot we had a delay in there, but yes, I was very happy at the end. I did a little mini celebration, and we did not experience any electronic challenges, because we did the year.
Hello.
Hi, how are you, Chris?
Good, how are you?
I'm living and breathing. It's so funny around here, I'm getting lots of paperwork done, it's great.
Oh, I like sitting
Oh,
in
you
Amy's
have
quiet
such
office
that.
just now. Okay, sorry I'm a little.
Now that I said that.
Yeah.
Someone called you.
Mm-hmm. You get about 50 emails.
Yeah, all right.
It's 4 o'clock, should we get started?
Sure.
All right. This is the meeting of the Communications Committee meeting. We are in Village Hall, upper level conference room. The date is June 22nd, and we are meeting at 4 p.m. Amy, was the meeting properly posted? Excellent, thank you. Minutes approval. I will need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Chris.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions on the minutes?
No.
No changes, everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll vote to approve minutes. All those that approve, yay?
Yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Doing out there a little bit.
Yay, wee yippee.
Okay, my own flavor, alright, super. Those that oppose? Alright, pass the minutes, okay. Next up, communications plan, Amy, so take it away.
Hey, I just wanted to find out if there were any questions on the communication plan. I know, Sarah, it was your first review of that, so in the last month, did you have any questions or anything like that?
Okay.
I just wanna let you know that I'm updating that now for July. Using survey data from the communication survey and the Studer surveys, so more information will be included in that. A plan is being updated to increase communication through school and district newsletters, web, social media. We'll have an increased focus on items highlighted from the surveys, curriculum, board safety. More specifically, building and school safety. We're building a school safety webpage. We'll get back to doing the weekly curriculum spotlights, board bits, and an archive newsletter webpage on the district and the school site so that people can access past issues and things like that. So that is the communication. And then I'll just keep going. The editorial calendar highlights that our engagement rate is higher than industry average. The industry average for social media is between 2 and 5%. And actually our LinkedIn page from the report last month was at 14%. So we I'm assuming that has to do with superintendent search, cause I know you did share that on
Sure did.
your day, so we've had leadership share it, so I think that's been fantastic. Facebook though is still our highest engagement, with, I think we're just a little over 6% of engagement on that. And Twitter is kinda stagnant, but that's
You know what's
It's
interesting?
different.
I use Twitter to find out the scores of the sports games.
Yeah, I do too,
Because it's
yeah.
more real time and it's easier
Yeah.
to post an update. If I have to go through all the Facebook feeds and go
Yeah.
do the search to override their logarithm, you go to the page, gets a little bit more complex, but
Yeah.
I do like Twitter for like real time.
Updates
Stuff.
for, yeah, I would agree. So that audience is growing consistently with the exception of Twitter, obviously. Our top posts were about baseball, Principal Day
And softball.
and National Teacher Appreciation Week. Family open rate last month was 70%, staff was over 90%, which is huge for us. Like I'm blown away. I'm so happy that's where staff is really, I think that's gonna, that they're now used to, that this is where we go for information. BoardBits webpage analytics, last month we had 442 views with an average of 18 seconds each visit. Superintendent search webpage analytics, we had 209 views with an average of 1 minute, 2 seconds average engagement. Currently I'm working with Swagit, who is the platform that we use to record the board meetings when they're here. I'm working with them to get analytics on how many people are actually watching those live and how many people are going back, because that's housed within their system, so we can't get that information. So then you'll have a better idea of when you're saying, when you're talking to the public that you're really talking to 500 or 5 or, things like that. So I think that is useful information for
You know,
parents.
not all 12,000 of our residents
I'm pretty sure it's probably
are
12.
all watching.
I'm pretty sure.
12.
I'm pretty sure it is. And then you're at a glance things that are happening.
And one is my mother, I'm just kidding.
Things that are in motion
It is
right now. We're updating the handbook. It has to be done by July 15th, so we can get that out for next year. So we're working on all the updates with all of cabinet and leaders and school
When you say
principals.
handbook, which one?
The district handbook.
I just know that schools also have, each school has a handbook as well, so I wanted to
Yeah,
differentiate.
and I'm learning about that too. I know the high school, sorry.
No, and then what I would just make note of that is that those handbooks are all directly tied back to
Our handbook.
our handbook.
Okay, so it's our master, so
Our-
then do
right.
they take changes that then are propagated or geared towards the right student and?
They will put things out there, right, that might be,
They'll schedule.
right, that is
Yeah.
indicative of their school.
Okay.
But the main stuff that they need by law to have is
Oh, yeah.
directly referenced from us.
Yep, perfect,
So,
Yeah, and
and so,
so we know
sorry,
that.
the
No,
things
go
that
ahead.
you asked for, Shelley,
Yep,
to be put in the handbook are in the master handbook.
Okay.
And therefore will be picked up by all the schools. So
that's,
that
and
was
do you
the
know,
goal.
Easy and efficient.
do you know what I had added?
No.
So we talked, there's a couple of best practices that we ran through, and one of them was the ability to like opt out. So if you wanted to be able to opt out of certain kids reading certain books, we wanted to call that out in the
Right.
parent handbook so that they knew how to do it. The second piece was IT came and gave instructions on how to look at Chromebook activity, and we have that software offered that people can subscribe to that report as well. So again, when we come to board meetings and we think of things that we're putting in the power of the parent, are we now cascading that into a handbook so they actually know what they have control of? Because I don't think many of them
Right.
think to go to our board policy or look on other places in our site for it.
In addition, there's also there's a connection to if parents wanna know what their kids are looking at through the file system.
Yep.
So they're able to see what that is through
I
the
think
directions
that's
in
the IT
there.
thing, yeah, I just couldn't remember the name of it.
The Chromebook activity, I mean, guys, where was this just behind the scenes or was it like at personnel?
Well, so some people, no, it was at a full
Not
board
for
meeting,
now, but
it was a full, I think it was when we got the presentation on Follett, I just couldn't
Oh,
remember the
yeah,
tool of it. So he said it's available to any parent now, and I was like, well, as a parent,
Yeah.
I was not aware that
Oh,
it was
gotcha.
available and how to do it.
Well,
So-
Chromebook is Lightspeed,
Okay, so probably both of those, so it's
Yeah.
a matter of making sure,
cause I'm
hey,
on
if
it.
there's things parents
I-
can
I-
do.
So now
would
it'll
like
be in
to
the
see it.
handbook,
right, where
Yep.
front and center.
Cool, and so every year, the online data verification, and even prior to online, one of the required questions when you do that is you have to click the button before you can go any further that says, I have read, and I mean, we all know that no one's gonna sit and, I find it really interesting because we wrote it but yeah.
Mhm.
But no one's gonna go through that entire handbook, but you do have to acknowledge that you did read that handbook.
I generally
Yeah.
skim it and
Yeah.
then save it because I
Yeah.
know at some point I'm gonna have to search for something, so
Right.
Right,
it's
I'm
available.
a skimmer too.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we went to a, just through NISBRA, which is my national organization. Districts were going to like an online handbook, so our handbook is online live, so that we need, like if the board passes something,
Yeah,
we can
Propagate.
update it right away, and there's an update date at the bottom and everything, so it's constantly live, but parents, and we'll do communication about that as we get closer to back to school about, please make sure you read the handbook, you will be required to sign off on reading the handbook, like handbook, so people know. So that's one of the things we're working on.
Awesome.
Website updates, just year-end cleanup, getting that updated back to school. Got a wireframe started for changes to the site pending tonight's discussion. I have one intern that's starting to work on web pages going through, because we'll have to update content regardless. So we're checking links and things like that. We have the back to school fair that we're working on, August 16th and 17th. We have a great core team that's working on that. It's gonna be a great event for free speak. I'm super excited. I hope it's really decent. I think it will be. Staff are excited about it. It's gonna be good. Editorial calendar updated for next year, so working on that. Superintendent hire, rollout plan for anything that happens there, community engagement, opening in-service plans, new teacher welcome. And then once, depending on the superintendent pieces and other things, we should be doing a community mailer in the beginning of August to start, just so that we can pack the, front load the, school year with information right off the bat, so that is that, and then the next thing is open
When will
records
you,
request.
with the community mailer, when would you need to wrap up content for that by?
Well, the nice thing, I work with Amy over at APKO, she's amazing. So, I mean, I can have a pretty quick turnaround if I do a lot of begging. She's wonderful, so, but a couple of weeks would be
Okay.
at least a couple of weeks.
So if you target mid-August for lack of, so then you're probably wrapping up content, or are you thinking closer to, since we don't start school till September 6th, are you targeting late August?
No, I think if we can get it ahead of the back to school fair, cause then that will
Right.
highlight the
Okay.
back to school
Early
fair,
August.
highlight any new leaders, any, so we can get that stuff, so we start off like
Yep, I
pretty
like
high, so. So that's what we've got going on, and then the next thing is open records requests, so Kim,
Yep, and so the open records request, June looks a little low, don't get deceived by that. Kim's been on vacation for a week,
yeah.
however, I do generally
I
get
checked
copies of
it.
those, and
What she considers.
right, and I haven't seen anything in there for open records requests for the
Okay.
last couple of days, I should knock on wood. So they were down in May. We do, we were consistently getting open records requests from one particular one particular citizen. We have met with legal counsel, and we're trying to do some training for Kim and I, more so for Kim, about how to respond to those open records requests, making sure that a lot of the requests were coming in they were very vague. And so one of the things that our attorney talked to us about is making sure that they are as specific as possible so that we can answer them, and that we're not trying to hunt all over and trying to find this information. So we're doing that, and then a couple of them, the attorney is gonna provide us with I call them sentence starters, where they're not really canned answers, but they're, in order to answer this, here's the structure we'll use for this kind of an open records request, versus, if there's a need for looking at, if there's more information needed, then there'll be another sentence starter, that this is what they need to do. The other thing that we are gonna take a very hard look at is we have historically not pushed on the issue for whether or not that there's a cost to it. We were always under the impression, or Kim was under the impression, that if we had a request that came in and it was,
Digital,
there was something that needed to be done,
yeah.
but it took us several hours, we wouldn't necessarily charge. Now, we will be going back and saying, in order to compile this information, it would cost, X number of dollars, this is what our estimated cost is. If you still want the information, then you need to provide that, pay for it ahead of time. If for whatever reason it comes back cheaper, it didn't take as long, we'll give you a refund. If it was more expensive, we'll notify you that it's going to cost more, and now you need to make the decision whether you wanna do that.
It has to be over a certain amount,
$50.
$50, that's what I thought.
But if you think about it, 3 hours of Kim's time
Oh, yeah.
is,
Well, and then send, because if it's, yeah, I mean, I agree, if it's not something that's tangible,
Right.
like
right,
Search,
Like
look up.
like a,
Right.
in
Specific.
data, or,
Right.
you know,
Well,
you're
for an
not
example,
creating data
well,
for
we
it.
won't create any data to begin
right,
with, but
yeah.
one of the issues was, somebody was looking for all the past agendas for, CNA, or 2 years ago.
Oh, okay,
So that would require, because they weren't online, we had no obligation to put them online, so we didn't, so those would be in records storage in the basement. To go down there to locate them, to copy them, to do all that, there's an X number of staff time to try to do that, so report back and say, if you really want them, here's what we can do. Now, on the other hand, if you want to just target what specifically you're looking for, if there was a topic you want to see if we have in those, we can go down there, look through those records, determine if we have, an agenda that speaks to it, and then get that material to them. It still will take a little time, but it won't be as much as pulling all the records, copying all the materials that this person was looking for. So we are gonna just, so if you hear about that, it's because we're really trying to follow the law, is what we're trying to do. And we haven't been very consistent about charging because there was a feeling like we probably shouldn't. And the attorney advised us that absolutely we shouldn't.
So a couple things, if the training hasn't been scheduled because Kim is out, can I be added to that training as well?
We already did it.
Okay,
The-
is there like notes or something?
I can look back to see if there's anything, I mean, what it is I've got some guidance that I can also share with you
Okay.
on what the open records, what they're looking at. I actually have, this might even be better for you, Shelley. A year ago, when I first started, when we were working with Von Briesen and Kyle Gulia. Kyle Gulia is like the open records guru. So he sent me, and I just found it the other day, a detailed email about all of the things in an open record we should be looking at. So that's what I'll share with you, and that will cover it as well.
But also I'd like to understand the best practices.
Yep.
So part of
That
the
is
issue
best
is,
practices.
okay, and I would like to know like what we're doing, so what Kim's notes were, so that I can understand what we're following through on. And then just for full transparency, I did ask Kim this week, emailing her, I know she's out of town, but I had a moment, so I sent her an email to be included on open records requests that come in. So wearing my hat as, hey, chair of this committee where we review it and talk about it, but also being the clerk. I just want visibility into the volume that's coming through, the timeliness of responses.
More than welcome.
we're on, I mean, so when it goes on that spreadsheet, that's what after Kim filters
Yes.
through it, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. So the basement where you have the files, is it like orderly or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I mean,
No,
you
they're
know,
in file cabinets.
it's not like my basement.
No, it's-
Actually, it
No.
is really, you'd be shocked at it.
Really?
We have to maintain
So
the records,
so it's like, well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying, so it's not, it's at your fingertips, but it's just like legwork for it.
Right, and so you'd have to go through
Yeah.
for the curriculum committee, were not necessarily filed by a curriculum committee, they would have been filed in with a board report. So you have to then go into the
Okay.
board reports for each of those, dig through that, find if there was a curriculum, look at the agenda, was there a curriculum, then dig that out. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
a little convoluted.
So, what about like if legals, I mean, if ever a situation where legal would be contacted for an open record request? I mean, that would be
Yep.
part of the cost.
And we wouldn't charge back if we were asking for advice on
Okay,
an open records request.
so it's more
we
on
would
our
not.
end. Okay.
Right, we would only, and the reason we would go to legal is that if the records seemed to be very convoluted and we weren't sure how to respond to it,
Okay,
we might be looking for them to give us some guidance about what it is we should be doing to make sure that we are meeting the tenets of the law,
gotcha.
so. And I don't expect that I could probably tell you maybe 2 or 3 this entire year out of that 178 that we would have
Charge.
thought.
Yeah.
No, thought to go to legal to,
Oh, yeah.
so
Well,
charge we very
the
rarely,
majority we wouldn't charge necessarily.
We don't.
It's just there are certain
certain
ones
circumstances,
that
right.
maybe needed to be narrowed down if they could, so you would not be charged, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that'll be their first option always.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can narrow it down, then we can do a better job.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Alright, superintendent search communication, so, Amy and I touched base this morning, so our process for interviewing a permanent superintendent has progressed. Interviews were completed this week, with 6 potential candidates. The list has been narrowed down to 2 final candidates. And then we're working to secure details on bringing them through the district and what those events will look like. We are preparing for a public announcement to go out today, tomorrow, time plan, the very short term here. So I know that you have sent me a draft of that message. I have not had a chance to review it yet, so I will take a look at that this evening and then be able to come back to you, so.
Sounds fantastic.
And then I assume that anything on the website, as we put that together, you will just
Absolutely, yep.
take that up to the
Yep.
website?
Mhm, yep.
Alright, perfect. Communication policy, very exciting. So thank you for sending over these 3 school districts. I think you sent more. One of the schools I was not able to access because it yelled at me and said I did not have school docs. They have board docs. I couldn't get into the board docs. It flagged me with a password. I was like, oh, that was fun.
Do you know
So,
which one it was?
well, the 3 I have here, see, it doesn't have its name on it when I printed it out. I can let you know. I have
Okay.
Northcliffe.
Okay.
And I have the Flyer,
That's good.
Garden Grove. I
Garden
kinda
Grove.
like that actually.
I love that.
And then it
Yeah.
was the first one that I also have. Let's see if I put the district name in here.
Broward.
Okay, so you don't have Palm Beach,
It was the
California.
California one, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I have the Palm Beach.
So that one, I
Oh, you
wasn't able to print. It
Okay.
may have just been they were doing upgrades or something to
Okay.
their system, so
Okay.
so I will take a look at these. I think we've got 2 meetings scheduled next month, and part of that is to dive into these a little further. Truth be told, I did not get a chance to dive into each of these, but I am grateful that you pulled them because I think that will get us a far way. And I did like the brochure aspect, because I think that's a great way to make it visible and be able to cascade it either through social media mechanisms or through our school mechanisms to hang it in schools or whatever, to be able to help articulate both for our families as well as our staff how this
Yeah.
communication works.
Yeah, I agree. I was so excited when I came across that. I was like,
So I really like the flyer aspect, and then we'll have a policy behind it to support it, so.
Is that all on WASB that you got those on?
no, that was
Oh.
just research, digging, going to other districts
okay.
and.
Like the part down here, like the step 1 of being able to reinforce you know, where you go.
Yep.
I know all of us here have you talked to a building principal about that, or have you talked to
Right.
somebody and reinforce that just so they know? I think that's really important, so.
Yeah,
I do really like this, so I appreciate the legwork that you did on this. My plan is to review this, pick apart, say based on the situation we're dealing with, get everybody's input, and then maybe this is a working session item for next time.
Sure.
Where we have like a rough draft that we're looking off of,
Okay,
and we can supply to her in advance aspects that we want included.
okay.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Does that work, ladies?
Yes, I would like to absorb it.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Do you want me to invite, who's policy staff? Do you want me to invite, is it you? Leah, or, cause it's, behavior.
Actually, let's do the first draft here.
Okay, just
And
Yes.
us,
then we'll,
that'd be
we'll
great.
take it to Leah
Once it's
once
beyond
it's
the
clean,
first draft.
right.
do we need?
That sounds
So maybe
good.
like share idea, or I guess
Yeah,
how you
bring your
want it, like
ideas.
I
behind
was
the
gonna
scenes
say,
or bring
We
it,
can
okay.
craft it right here.
I was gonna
Okay,
say, I can highlight, either highlight the stuff and send it to you, these are the
Yeah,
aspects
and
I
I'm
like,
happy to,
and then you can put a puzzle piece together,
a little
and then
behind
it's
the
something
scenes.
for us to
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
review and
we
and then we
respond
can
to.
talk
appreciate
about
that,
it,
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
so
get
I gotta
more.
get those
Do you
printed
need
out,
any input from Laura Schiffer on any of that?
probably, yep.
She might be a good key stakeholder to have at our next one as well,
Okay.
so let's
I will
add her
invite her.
and we'll save Leah for the final.
I'll tell you what helped a lot is that survey results too, it was kind of like good timing, I think,
I like that, yeah.
and the comments.
Mhm.
That, I mean, I have an idea about the survey thing, but
Perfect.
I'll save it for a minute.
Okay.
So we're gonna review and send
Yeah.
comments, send inclusions
Okay.
to Amy, and then Amy, you will make sure you add Laura to our next discussion.
Sure.
And then we'll do as a next step after that meeting is to pull in Leah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, perfect. Alright, survey results, Chris, take it away.
Oh, well, no, Amy, but, go ahead, Amy.
Okay, let me just do some high level.
You, yeah,
Yeah,
Do your
exactly.
introduction,
No,
and
I
we'll
just
go right
have
to her
one little
feedback or
thought,
questions.
one thought, little.
Okay. We had about 180 respondents, 93% of those were from our own families. Our majority of respondents were elementary families, I'm not surprised. 54% visit the school website occasionally. 44% receive information about the school from the weekly newsletter, from their own, all the elementaries in North, and the high school is every other week, I believe. But all elementaries, every Sunday night, they all send out a message, so, through, school messenger. And then, so they receive it from that newsletter, 55% visit the district website occasionally, 19% never. 43%, which I mean, that would make some sense because it's more for marketing, but 43% receive information about the district from the weekly newsletter. They're looking for calendar, parent information, and Board of Education information. The newspaper of choice, Sign of the Times, only 14% get their news from Journal Sentinel. Actually, the majority of our families get it from Facebook. Social media we have 89% of our respondents are followers on Facebook, 14% Twitter, and 10% on Instagram. Topics they're looking for are curriculum, school climate, safety, and overall majority of respondents feel informed about both the school and the district, but building plans into the communication plans at the district and school levels to increase that for next year, so.
Yeah, you can feel free to.
So what's
Oh, no,
working?
good, okay.
Yeah, what's working well, our weekly newsletter, social media, improvements at the school level, classroom communication, consistency, and calendar updates. Working well at the district, same thing, weekly social media, weekly newsletters, sharing achievements. And then improvements at the district level, more information about curriculum safety, Board of Education updates, and safety, which I think I've done there twice. So, yeah, so that's a quick run through of,
So a quick question.
yeah,
When I look at this section that says how informed do you feel about your child's school or how do you feel about the school district? I'm assuming 5 is I
Yes.
feel
Yep.
awesome and
Yes.
1 is we need to improve kind of thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're giving some consideration around engagement, I think you and I talked about this morning, was the ability of being able to drive more broadly our board agendas. So whether it goes to the addition to going to staff and the addition to just sending, rather than just a link to board docs, being able to like put the package together and say, here it is. Because even if people can't attend or they can't watch the recording, tangibly receiving, whether it's part of newsletters or however, whatever the mechanism is, that we would have the ability to pull that in here and
Sure.
perhaps this number, it looks pretty decent already from a 3, 4, and 5 standpoint.
Right.
But maybe it can bring more of the 3s up
Yep.
and maybe bring those 1s and 2s into feeling more
Sure.
like they're connected.
absolutely, yep.
Are you talking about, I'm sorry, school
Board
board
agendas.
agenda? So, yeah, like emailing them out or, like make it more visible
Mhm.
in parents' laps.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
topics
rather
that
than
we'll be
even a link.
discussing and just kind of, yeah.
So I think we just need to talk about like timing and what does it include, because one of the things we talked about is right now, we finalize agendas before Friday afternoon for the Monday meeting,
Okay.
and so it runs pretty fluid, which affords us a lot of flexibility, but if we go to some sort of a process where we're now sending it down, then we have to make sure we're allotting time to harden things up where we get it in advance before it goes out to families and such.
And I would absolutely not recommend that it goes out to any families before Monday morning.
Yeah,
Because
that's
that gives
fine.
us opportunities if
Yeah.
something came up over the weekend
to,
or whatever. We've got Saturday, we can still make adjustments.
yeah,
Sure.
By Sunday, we're locked in, but I'm not gonna ask him to be putting this together because it would fall on her shoulders
I mean, I think
to
that's
create that.
reasonable, but I like the idea where, you get a quick email and you're like, oh, there's a board meeting, yeah, I think I will, it
So,
might
and
improve
probably what
engagement.
we'll do is, my recommendation is that she'll put it together on a Google Doc
Mhm.
and she'll send out a mass email that just says, here's the link.
Yeah,
And
If
I
you
think the
want it.
same goes for staff, so
Right.
again, I don't remember the frequency of the all staff, that you have 90%.
Every week.
Okay, so that's a weekly, so then as board meetings are coming up in advance of them saying, here's the agenda, okay.
Yeah, we can then too
Well,
also
they
add
would
that to
get
our
those
intranet
on Monday.
to Monday.
Again, we wouldn't want to have anything out that we didn't know was absolutely solid. So,
Or we work ahead. But that also takes transition and then people are,
well, it's not about working ahead, it's about if you guys saw something on Saturday or Friday night, the reason we give you the packet early is that if there's an issue with the packet, if there's something you want adjusted and
or an
then we
error,
can make those adjustments versus it going out live,
I get it.
so.
I think the board in any way would get it a couple days before it would go out to the mass, we just have to
Yeah.
figure out what that before looks like.
We're shooting for Wednesdays.
Perfect, awesome. Okay, Chris, what was your question on survey results?
I was looking at
No,
something
that's
and I
okay.
clicked on it wrong.
Alright, so
So survey results, I found the interesting too, like the topics, like the things where I clicked on it and I messed her up, I messed up her screen. The topics, I think that's interesting that we could kind of like tune into more, like, you wanna hear more about curriculum.
Yep.
Like like you're channeling that, and then what was the other ones, high ones on there? I don't have it in front of me, I
Yeah,
didn't
so
print it
would
out.
you like to,
I wanted to print it out, but I didn't wanna do it in color.
Yeah, no, so you say
I'm trying to save my color ink.
that's okay,
Um,
which
okay, right here.
chart was it? This
So
one?
here.
Okay.
school safety, school
Here.
climate,
Yeah, school safety is
Okay.
one, academic achievement, what does that mean?
it's cut off.
Oh, the connection between school and
And-
community, so what our kids are, kids, not just our students, but our staff and how we are working as a community, that connection.
Okay,
Okay.
and then, safety, school climate, okay. I don't know, I just found that interesting, but what I was gonna say, thinking about the survey and like planning for policy, I was kind of looking at, maybe it would give ideas, because are we doing procedure too with the policy, or like procedures?
Depends on what we need.
Okay, so I was wondering if, and I know you're kind of, like, I saw some themes in here. Like, what I remember, and I didn't study it before I came here, but like themes about like information that they're lacking, or like, for example, different schools were using, or different teachers are using different like apps, different communication modes, things like that, like, think about that, all the different schools we have, and then one kid's here, one's there.
Right.
Yep.
I got that app for this kid, this one, so I thought maybe if we kind of thought about the nitty gritty details, like themes, maybe it would, something would come out with procedure, or I don't know if we wanna organize some of these comments a little bit more, I don't know.
So part of my goal, and you give us this data, is probably putting together, and maybe you've already got started on this, I don't know, as we talked about releasing an executive summary, so has anything gone out to families or district regarding?
No, because it would
results?
start here.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then maybe what it is if we take away the top themes of things that need improvement versus the things that are really working.
Yep.
I don't know if we're able to break it out by grade level, so hey, at the elementary level, here's the top
Yeah.
3, at the middle school level and the high school.
Right,
I think it might help form a framework
Correct.
a little bit,
And
okay.
it's something for us to keep a pulse on and start measuring the data to say, are people feeling connected?
Right.
As we put tactics together in your other activities,
Mhm.
are the tactics that we're using, the channels we're using, connecting with the audiences based on the feedback they give us,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Good, you put that into words, I think.
yeah, so I can bring in the
Yeah,
exact
I
summary.
knew what you were saying, I'm
Yeah.
just letting you suffer.
Well, I mean, because I was reading, I'm like, oh, that's a theme, okay, that's a
Yeah.
theme. You know, I see it, but, you know, and if people are taking the time to comment,
Mhm.
it's something I think
So what I'm
they
thinking
have a valid
maybe is,
concern.
you're really good with the visuals, so similar to how that communication page sort of had like a flyer, is just be able to say, hey, here's something that is, like, I'll say clickbait, but something that's
Yep.
engaging so people understand, here's what's happening at the elementary school level, and it kind of builds up the summary. I think is a good showcase to be able to say, here's a reward for those that participated in the survey.
Yeah.
And
Well,
here's
for
what we're
sure.
to focus on.
Yeah, well, and too, and I know I brought it up at the last meeting, I think it was this last meeting. I would really recommend that we have a page on our website that is survey results, and that we can post the, you know, the
Latest, greatest.
just so that people always know that, okay, I took this survey, you asked me to take this survey, I took the survey and I know you talked
And
about
then
it at
when
a
you
board
miss it,
meeting,
yeah.
or, but I never hear about it unless I went to the board meeting or if I read board minutes, which everybody will be reading. Then it can live, all of our survey results can live there and then you can actually do comparisons, I just
I
think that
Yes, I like that,
that's what I would recommend we do,
Yeah.
so,
perfect.
alright.
Let's start into it.
Alright, cruising right along. Website,
Okay,
this will be easy,
this will be very easy, well, I don't know,
it's gonna be.
okay,
I did not see enough of a lift for the $11,000 investment, especially with what we're doing. The fact that the helping with the interns and staff time helps with content navigation and updating photos gets us there. I mean, at the point in time that we're ready to do an overhaul, I think then we plan and we budget and we figure out what the impact is, but my recommendation at this point is there's better ways that our district can use the $11,000 and I don't see enough of a difference or a lift.
and I totally 100% agree, especially after you see the results from the survey, that it's not our own families really that are, actually, but I have found some ways to work around, cause they don't release any of the additional panels or any of the cool stuff unless you pay for it.
Sure.
So I have found a way to kind of work around it, that we can get those things that look like that, but actually aren't that, so it'll be our own.
And one of the things that we could think about, and truth be told, I don't know if you're already doing this, so you possibly are, is when you do a social media post and it's a picture or it's a reference or it's board bits, is there a way to engage that there's like the vanity URL that's right there that they can click on and take them to where the additional details are? Or do we simply say like, go check our website, where if we put a shortcut to the page, that's
Yeah,
a
we can
lot
certainly-
easier to deliver them right to where we go. And then maybe it's a combination of usability through the
Yep.
website and usability through the social media.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, and we do at and we do that, our, with this site unfortunately, which is why I think, I'm not sure, but they had to add a different blog page to it. So it's a WordPress site that, so when you click, if we have a really long story, you have that, you can read more, but it takes you to the WordPress instead of within our own site.
Okay.
So I have to figure a way
Well, and I think
to do that.
I've looked at the blog, I don't know that it's been maintained either, so I
Right.
don't even know if that's something that we maintain.
Yeah.
If we're not, and we don't have any writers, then maybe we just
Yeah.
undo it and
Yeah.
get money back from WordPress and not have that as a
Yeah.
feature and do another cost savings. And-
Right,
And at the point that we need to do more bloggy stuff, then let's
Yeah.
find something we can do internally, and then maybe that's better use of the money
Sure.
versus
Yeah,
delivering you somewhere else,
Yeah.
where we don't have metrics.
yeah, that sounds fantastic. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm totally fine with that.
super,
I like it.
quick and easy.
Mhm.
Perfect, thank you. Set next meeting date. I actually think that we're good on this, because we have two planned in July.
Yeah.
We are confirmed for the 13th.
Yeah.
And we are confirmed for the 27th.
And those are both at 4. I may have to scoot on the 13th a little early because we're running the Scrum Best deal that night. 6, so I can make it register. But I will work it out.
Well, I think the 13th is gonna be our
So
work
what
meeting,
did,
Oh, okay.
what did we have again? We got the,
Alright, we'll figure.
13th and,
the 27th,
okay.
12 to
Okay.
4.
Can we start, do you wanna start it a little earlier, Amy?
That's completely up.
Would that work for you?
I know you guys have already set that, so I can
I can make it work
make arrangements
a
otherwise.
little earlier.
Why don't we try
I'm
2:30?
flexible on time.
I can also make it work earlier.
What time
Oh
did
my
you
gosh,
start
that would
there?
be great.
Yeah, let's do it 3:30, that'll be easier then.
Okay,
And then you'll have a good hour to,
yeah,
for your
On both of
meeting.
those,
Just the first one.
or just the 13th?
Just the 13th.
Just the
And
13th.
we
I
can
really
always
appreciate
click
that,
it
you
in.
guys.
Okay.
But you have to take a selfie at the finish line after you're done swimming.
I'm
I can't
gonna,
wait.
my,
Are you an avid runner?
I am a fake runner.
Oh,
Fake
I
runner.
cannot wait for that selfie now.
so funny.
like you run
I have
and then
really
blend
cool
in
shoes.
and then
Yeah,
go to
I'm
the
not
finish line.
fast, but I really enjoy it, but
Wow,
I just,
good for you, I don't think I can run anymore.
Any future agenda
No, it just
items?
pulls me. Give me a moment, I feel like I had one, but maybe not.
And can I just ask an admin question? Why does information items come after the adjourning the meeting?
I don't know.
So it happens in other, it's not a you thing, it's a, I gotta remember to ask it before we move to adjourn,
So
so
let me move, I'll move it over.
don't
I wonder
worry.
if Kim can just reorganize that.
Yeah, I think I noticed it also on our standard board meetings, but,
Okay.
and then I
Oh, yeah.
gotta remember to do it
Like
before
future
we
agenda.
adjourn.
I mean, I think the future big one is that communication policy, just like the building,
But we have that as a work session
Yeah,
in the next
yeah.
week.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's like an ongoing thing, so.
So do you want that
We have
to
our
be
plate full.
the only item, or do you have
I
other?
was just looking to see if there's anything new that we wanted to add.
You know, my advice is let's get the policy. done.
Yeah,
I'm fine with
I think
that.
that,
I just-
I'm great
I
with that,
skipped this part
cause that's
last
what we
time
scheduled the
and
extra
I
meeting
got-
for.
I got some feedback that they had topics, so I wanted to give
Sure.
them
Oh,
plenty
okay.
of time to,
I can send you, the stuff like the opening pieces that we do, like your glance stuff and analytics and stuff. If you want that ahead of time, so you don't have to go through it for that meeting, if that is helpful.
let's do that.
Okay,
And the only other thing I had, and I think I talked to you about this, Jim, was that the questions that the
and we would
parents, did you have interest in discussing that in a meeting, or do you want to just read an email? That's,
Well, first of all, what we'll do that if you were just requesting it, it'll
sure,
come to it'll go to all of you,
Yeah,
every
okay.
board member.
okay,
If you wanna bring it to committee, which is what I thought we would do, I was planning on, we'll bring that
In
at the
July.
second meeting
second meeting,
in
okay,
July, and then
Okay.
we'll use that as a topic.
that's,
I'm sorry, I don't know.
But here's- But I wanna go maybe one step back. Is
Sure.
it possible for you to send the questions to us in advance? Because I'd like to
Sure.
be able to look at those
Oh, yeah.
questions and make sure if we're designing our policy, that it's actually, the questions that are coming up are being addressed by the policy. That makes sense? Obviously, we're not gonna be able to include all of the questions in the policy, but if there's something easy to address, I
Right,
think it would be a
some
nice
like,
working
some
document.
Those, they would not be about communication. Those questions were more, there were just a few about communication, more was about process.
okay,
So it wouldn't, I mean, I'm glad to do that, but I'm just, if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna find a ton of stuff in there about, communication other than the things we already know. But you
Well-
will see, lots of questions about process and,
So I do think process is important, so as much as we write a policy, the reason I think process is important is because just to have a policy, I wanna make sure we're training the right way and
but it's not about process about communication, Shelley, it's about process about physically what we're doing there with behaviors,
Oh, okay,
is what I'm saying,
so
it
it's
wasn't
student
about.
service, is it a student service
Well,
thing?
there was maybe a piece of communication, but it's not the whole picture.
Right, the questions, those 58 questions it ran the whole gamut,
I get
Okay.
it, but
but we'll give you the questions,
I would
yeah.
love the questions, just so
Absolutely.
that
That
we
was in the video,
What
No,
questions are
that
we talking
was,
about?
these are the questions that you developed themes on.
Oh,
from
yeah,
the-
yeah, yeah. Oh, from the, yeah,
From the
yeah,
form,
yes.
so the Google form.
oh, okay,
perfect.
So we sent that out, we sent to the parents.
yes,
like,
You were
okay, I
looking
didn't
for-
miss that, did I?
okay,
No, we
Okay,
wanted
I
to
think-
know,
sorry.
when we were meeting with them, we
Yeah.
wanted to know so that we
like
were
in
prepared.
advance, yeah,
Give us an idea of what questions you want,
I remember
and then
that.
Oh,
we're gonna
yes.
put themes
Yep,
together.
and then I color coded them all, yes.
Right.
Oh, wow,
So-
okay,
Yes,
Okay,
if you
so
can send us
that
that would be
would-
awesome.
yeah,
And again, I realize most of it is probably tied to other evaluations and not tied to
applicable
communication. However,
Right.
when
Yeah.
you start looking at the whole changes that we're making as a whole, I wanna make sure that we're ticking boxes, so. And part of it may be a call to action around how we close the loop with those folks for after we kick off the school year in the fall, here's the following things that have been addressed. And I think it'll be a nice tool to help for the principal that'll be incoming to Ben Franklin as well.
Okay, well, and that's why I'll make sure to invite Laura to that
Yep.
meeting, because a lot of that, it does, yeah, it's a,
And that's the 27th that we're referring to,
Yes.
that July 27th, okay.
oh, the 27th, not the
Oh, the
13th.
The
13th.
13th is the work,
It's just writing the policy.
writing the policy.
But we're having Laura
Sure,
at
half,
the 13th.
yeah.
Leah will be at the 27th.
If you're gonna talk about the questions on, Leah would be here on the 27th as well, but Laura would be here on
Laura
the
was
27th as
there.
well, because
For sure, but Laura for sure on the 13th, because I want her part of the working session, so,
So Laura on the
Okay.
13th, Laura and Leah on the 27th.
thank you.
I have one quick question,
Yes?
and it's kinda rewinding to a different, okay. I'm sorry if I missed this, but the survey, policy, the new policy, communication policy, is that in your plan for,
Yes.
okay, alright.
Question? Alright. Anything else?
No, I think that's good.
Alright, super.
Yeah.
Well, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Excellent, we will adjourn the meeting at 4:44.
So yeah, I only printed out one of those policy things.